This Noah's Ark 2x2 formation. Road change now. We go racing for the first time this season. 3 hours of GT action. It's go.
This is very tight as they come down. Group of cars coming in. This has all got trouble written all over it. This is G3 cars.
Drop downhill there, head towards the Aqua Minerale. Imola, of course. There's another one on through the gravel. As wide as possible as they drop downhill, putting that truck inside line. Yes, oh, he did. Through he goes.
Good evening and welcome to the final race of Season 11 AOR's GT3. It's Tier 1, the fast, speedy boys. I am RageF1 and I am joined, as always, by my co-commentator, TwinBarrelJay. Now, I've heard, okay, mainly on Thursday evenings, that he's been getting up to no good and breeding a rare breed of wildebeest out in the plains of South Africa. Is that true, Jamie?
In something that will be lost in the age of time.
Did you?
I have to say that. That's between me and the farmers of Kyalami.
Okay, because there's strange photos coming out of you, hand feeding wildebeests, using some weird kind of strap-on breast thing. So I thought I'd bring it up with you,
Why does it escalate?
I mean,
why does it always have to escalate?
It's just what the guys have been telling me, man.
Perfectly fine. I need to pay them more, obviously.
Well, come up with these outlandish ideas. I just ask the question, just make sure it's true. I'd hate for the fake news brigade to, stir up some kind of outlandish idea that you.
I feel like this is all going to be some massive cover-up at some point.
Okay. Like the moon landing, yeah.
Things.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm just doing you a favour by making it seem plausible that it might be me.
It could possibly.
Anyway, we're here to race.
We are. Well, I had to ask. There's been strange rumours running around about you and wildebeest, and these weird.
Has there?
Yeah. You got to make sure that they're they're not lying. You got to make sure they're not these crazy outlandish ideas. We are going racing for the final race of this season. We're in Kyalami. I don't know what the pace of the driver is. Did you sneak a little peek before we came to qualify?
I have an idea.
Okay. Is it a good one?
Idea.
Okay. Are you gonna divulge, or should we just see what happens when the first driver crosses the line?
They're all up there. At one point, the three championship contenders, or the three main protagonists, were in the top 3. It didn't end that way.
All right.
But they're all up there. I mean, there's plenty of streams about the place. The majority of the audience, I'm sure, will know how it's looking. But we're in for at least a competitive final round, that's for sure, with 5 drivers mathematically in with a chance, though. In all probability, it's between 3 of them, which I'm sure you're going to run us through now.
How did you know? It's like we do this every week. George Boothby currently in the top spot, 399 points. He's followed very, very closely by Luke Whitehead with 391 points. Now, what makes this even more special is George Boothby's got 2 wins on the board, whereas Luke Whitehead's got 1 win and 2 second places. So it kind of mathematically all kind of evens out in the whole whirlwind that we call this season of AOR. But then closely followed behind by Tinker van der Velde. He's fallen off towards the middle part of the season, really. He had a really horrible result, didn't he? In not Interlagos, that's Brazil. In Indianapolis. Yeah, Indianapolis. Wasn't very good. P27. But he came back, obviously, last time out with the win. So, and he's got himself 2 podium finishes as well. So Tinker van der Velde's got 377 points in 3rd place. And then the real outlandish stuff, right? Jura Petrochenko, 326 points. He could possibly come across the line and claim the championship. I don't think he will. Anyway, he could. The highest position was 3rd place so far this season. And then we got Grantis Caracas. Obviously didn't have a finish last time out, so because of that horrible situation, he was leading the championship, DNF, and now he's back down in 5th place with 320 points. We could have seen Grantis Caracas run away with the championship, but had a DNF and was a streaming mechanical, as we like to call them, Jay. That must be literally heartbreaking. You might as well pull out your eyes and set them on fire.
You might as well, but it is quite drastic. In all honesty, I'm surprised he didn't jump back in and finish, though he would have got 9 points for at least just jumping in and finishing the race, which would have at least given him a better mathematical chance. Yeah, those 2 McLarens, I asked for as many people as possible to rejoin for this race, but it's still only 23, which means that the minimum points if you finish available is 8, which does still mean it's mathematically possible for the 2 McLarens, but they'd need the 2 Hondas and the Ferrari to be pretty much at the back of the field. But you never know. Stranger things have happened.
I guess they will rejoin though, won't they? Because of the points.
You'd think so.
Well,
if you're either of those top 3, you've got to, just in case.
Yeah. I mean, you probably, if they both disconnect, that's the only point where they think, oh, well, I'll rejoin because that other person's also disconnected. But yeah, I'm sure if Luke Whitehead was disconnecting, then he's not going to join back in because the likes of Tinker van der Velde, George Boothby are probably going to run away with it anyway, right? You never know. Anyway, the good thing is about this track, Jay, as some of the drivers come across the line, Mark Vart with a time of, I think it was 140.7, Tinker van der Velde with a 140. Dead pretty much. Hugo Merles with a 140.6, so really stretching those times out. Yonkers comes across the line with a 140.3. Barrier then pushes him down too. We've got lots of people coming across the line. Boothby look way down there. Jura Petrochenko joins him as well, getting pushed right down there. Jardier coming across the line in 4th. Darren King in 5th. We've got a real change around here. Jardier being really high up in that Ferrari. Interesting. And there we go. Dara McCormack, currently Dave leading the way there with a 139.8, so coming across the line first time and breaking that 139 barrier. What I was going to say, Jay, is we got some fantastic corner names around Kyalami, and I will just go through them. So first of all, you got the King. I know you like that one. Coro Thorn would be turn 2, and then you got the Juxie Sweep is turn, I think, 4. Barbecue of turn 5, always nice on a Sunday evening. Sunset, that's when you have the barbecue, right? Turn 6. Clubhouse is 7. The S's is 8 and 9. Lukop is turn 10. Turn 11 doesn't have a name, unfortunately. Then Mineshaft in turn 12. Turn 13 is the Crocodiles, 14. And then the feared turn 15 that we're almost going to see with Mark Vart right now is called Cheetah. And you do have to... We do lose drivers in Cheetah, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be slightly off your line. If you're touching that curb in even the slightest of hellos, you're going to find yourself in some gravel. And even without the curb, part of your brain is concentrating on it so much. Must miss cheater.
Yes.
That you sometimes just sail straight off the road into the gravel on the outside anyway. So
Straight into cheater.
yeah, I think we're probably going to see a few incidents through there today in qualifying and in the race, and almost certainly some dodgy rejoins as well from people recovering off the gravel. It's a very hazardous zone because you go through there blind, and if there's a car recovering off the gravel, you're going through there at 120, 130 mile an hour. You're not going to be able to change direction very quickly.
No.
But yeah, there's some fantastic names around here. You're right.
Yeah, we missed
And
out
it's a brilliant
Ingwe
track.
as well, didn't we? Right at the end. Ingwe! Sounds like the noise you make when you need to come into the pit. Yeah, and you've already missed it if you're going through Ingwe. Pit entry's quite crazy, isn't it, this one? As Tinker Van der Velde exploits the limits of the track and then does pull it over. Yeah, pit could possibly cause a few issues for these boys today.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I expect most of these guys to be professional enough not to be muck it up like I've done many a time there and rotate the car. But yeah, it's quite a narrow entry. You've got to watch that inside barrier, and quite easy to spin the car around there if you're a mere mortal, which most of these are not. But yeah, it's going to be it's a brilliant racetrack. There's potential for a bit of rain as well. You never know. And a few cars that are going to be super competitive here that haven't been so far this season. So the Porsche and the Aston Martin, who are currently occupying the first two spots, are going to put a massive spanner in the works. So fly in the ointment for our championship decider, which I think really could open it up to any of those top three.
Yep.
We're not going to go too deeply into the maths. We'll try and run it as we go along. The one thing that is certain is if either of Luke Whitehead or George Boothby can win the race, they take the championship regardless.
Okay.
Tinker Van der Velde, if he wins, will need the other two outside of the top three.
Oh, wow.
But I think it's going to be a bit more complicated.
Complicated?
Complicated.
Didn't realise we went up north to get a bit complicated.
No idea. You know my accents come out any time they fancy. I think it's going to be a bit more complicated than that. Really need to stop doing that because I think we're going to see the Porsche and the Astons be very competitive, and it might be a struggle for any of the championship contenders to even get a top three. You never know, because we've got the likes of Harry Phillips that I expect to be right up there as well once he gets his act together. He put in a really good time in practice as well, and Darren King returning as well in that Aston at the opportune moment when it's at its most competitive.
Well, he's come in to throw cats among pigeons, which I like to see. I like that. That's just a big FU, isn't it, really? I'm going to join in when my car's good and there's also championships up on the line. Why not? I like that. That's a very Darren King thing to do. I'm all the more for it. Jay, I have employed the use of a calculator today, so, caution, I know.
God help us all.
I know. So careful, boys.
Won't know the champion till the end then.
No, we'll be fine. But like you say, so if Luke Whitehead or George Boothby finish on the top spot, they've won the championship regardless. Is that right?
Correct. So obviously George Boothby's already leading, so that would wrap that up. And the difference between first and second place is 12 points. The gap between George Boothby and Luke Whitehead is 8. So if Luke Whitehead wins the race, he will also be champion. Past that, it gets incredibly complicated, and we'll work it out when we get to it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Well, obviously, all of the boys up for the championship spots, apart from Tinker Van der Velde, at least in Tier 1, have had a championship or two under their belts. Luke Whitehead, obviously, the reigning champ, quite rightly, he's running the number 1 on his car, and I think George Boothby's got at least 2 championships, maybe more under his belt, at least 2 in my what's the word you should use for that? Custodian? See?
In your time here?
Yes, that's probably better. I don't know.
That's
Under my watch.
The work speed there.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So
In
at
your
least,
presence.
yeah, in my presence. I don't think that's a very good thing.
Make it
to
a
say.
little bit spooky for Halloween.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Many spooks to everyone listening. Well, we definitely not taking
Hope
part
they
in
don't
any
get
of that.
spooked by Cheetah.
Yeah, oh, I've already seen Angel and Strozer get very spooked by Cheetah last time out.
I'll only do that once.
There isn't anything really here to get spooked about apart from Cheetah, really. Harry Phillips is currently up on his time down there in P7. We've watched Darren King on his warm-up, so we might as well stay with him. Where is Harry Phillips? Let's have a little look. Actually, he's coming down towards Mineshafty area, so we'll stay with him and then we'll jump back to Darren King in a minute, because Phillips is actually on quite a good lap here. He's 3/10 up at this stage, and he's only 7/10 away from the pole sitter. There's a big gap, actually, from Whitehead to Dave McCormack that he could jump into. So there's a possibility here that he could improve. 3/10 still, but it's 3 point something. So we're going to see him at least inside that top 3, where Valentine Barrier is currently sitting there. Will he dethrone Luke? Let's see when he comes across the line. He doesn't. 3rd place as we thought. Valentine Barrier and everyone else drops down 1. Good stuff from Harry Phillips. Let's jump on board with Darren King and see how he finishes off the rest of his lap.
Yeah, no, really good time. Gets himself right up there, doesn't he? And here's that spanner in the works. So, yep, here's Darren King now coming down towards the left-hander. Gets the car in nicely on the power even earlier. Gets a nice run down onto the main straight. Got a little slipstream from McLaren ahead. No, it's Ferrari ahead of Vasily, who now pulls out the way. No, it's not. It's Tinko.
As
Still
you can
getting
see,
used to camera controls. Back end moving a little bit out there wide. You want to get on the power nice and early. It's a very strange corner there. You can almost just blast the throttle almost on corner entry because you've got so much curve on the outside. Coming into the final corner now, takes it nice and wide to cut back underneath. Just misses the curb, but still a good exit. Come across the line to go. No faster than he went before.
fantastic. That was riveting there, Jay. Brilliant stuff. To go no faster than we've seen him go before. I mean, it's an.
I don't have the benefit of split times.
It's fine. It's the opening gambit for Darren King, so I think we might be seeing him go forward and improve now. It's always the first fast lap is just a warm up, really, isn't it? Really. So I think we're going to see a little bit more from him. Talking about a little bit more, we've got Dara McColmack currently improving 2/10 from the top spot, so he is going to extend that lead. Unfortunately, not on the Chill Blast paint scheme again today. Dara, never mind. Never mind indeed.
Yonkers has improved up into second to be best of the Hondas at the moment, so he's moved himself ahead of the championship rivals Van der Velde and Whitehead. Boothby there in 6th, so they're all in the top 6 at the moment. Who else do we reckon might be able to get involved in that? You'd expect maybe the two Astons, Barry and King, to be able to improve. And Estrosa's had a good turn of pace in that Honda as well. And once again, the rest of the Ferraris struggling outside the top 10 when George Boothby's able to do things that no one else is, as Darren McCormack takes it nicely through Cheetah. Down into the final corner then. Turns in much earlier than we saw Darren King do. But I think that's because Darren King had already thrown that lap away very wide. I'd be surprised if he hasn't invalidated there. But he hasn't, and goes half a second clear at the top, Rage.
Wow, yeah, that's really putting pedal to the metal. Tinker Van der Velde is going to improve. Might dethrone Yonkers here. Take second place, best of the rest of the Hondas. Look at that, Porsche, Honda, Porsche. A big old Honda sandwich. But yeah, good time from him. 4/10 away though. I would like to see Luke Whitehead maybe given an opportunity to improve here. Is he still in the pits? No, he's out on his out lap. So we've got a minute and a half left. These boys will definitely get a chance to do at least 2 more laps now. Obviously, if they're out on a lap already. So we've got this little heating stage, and then we'll go for a flyer. So that should be fine. How much? Well, actually, I say that they won't get another shot of it. This will be it because he's just dipped under the 1 minute and 30. Obviously, it takes 1 minute 39 to go round. So this will be the final ditch attempt for Luke Whitehead. So everyone else who's crossed the line now will get 1 more. Luke, though, unfortunately won't. So let's see what he can do. He opens up the lap to start this one here. We'll go on board with him. See if he can improve. Otherwise, unfortunately, it's second row of the grid for Luke Whitehead in what needs to be a very good race. But where's his nearest challenger? George Boothby, only a row behind. And Tinker Van der Velde, obviously, starting on the front row. Going to get competitive already, Jay. I would have liked to see another Porsche up there, but it's Loy's, isn't it, down there in P18. I don't think he's got the pace this season. So I think those who I said would threaten are already threatening. Harry Phillips has ruined it and he's gone back to the pit, so no more Porsche intervention here, Jay, apart from what's going to happen in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what Luke White can do. Hardy has improved into the top 10. Darren King on that lap. We saw him start, stays where he is in 8th, but does improve a little bit. Put a bit of clean air between himself and Stroza. But yeah, Luke Whitehead will want a little bit more. He won't, well, at the moment, he'd be starting directly behind Van der Velde on the second row, which could be spicy. And George Boothby will also be on the second row behind him. So I kind of want them to stay as they are at the moment, because that would be quite interesting on the long run down into turn 1.
who's just in. Tinko Van der Velde made a mistake somewhere, so Tinko's in. No more from him. Yonkers has done the same. He's thrown it away. Darren McCormack has called it a day. The flag's out. Luke Whitehead then currently 4th place. The only man inside the top 5 who can improve. Boothby down in 7th place. Could also improve here, Jay. Not too sure where he is on track. We've got currently Luke Whitehead coming through Crocodiles. He's going to be taking on Cheetah very soon. See if he can improve. He's on the bubble at the moment. He hasn't lost time. Oh, goes wide on the exit at turn 14. That's not the best way through there. Cheetah's not going to claim him. Pushes it wide out. Good stuff there from Luke Whitehead. Might have got a few little issues, but I think he's okay. Well, it's going to be a small improvement. I don't think it's going to be enough to take the crown. He might dethrone Yonkers here. Let's see what he does. Crossing the line, and it's all she wrote. P4, second row. For the Ripper, the panel beater himself, unfortunately, is not going to be any further up. But this man could do something about that. George Boothby, the highest Ferrari so far in this qualifying session. 666 is the number. Is he going to be the devil for Luke Whitehead today? I don't think so. He's on the bubble again. He may move in front of Harry Phillips, possibly Darren King, if he can get maybe half a tenth here before he comes across the line. We say maybe half a tenth. It's absolutely, nail stuff, really, with these boys. They're so close. Not sure if George has got enough. He's still on the bubble. I can't see if it's going to be an improvement until he comes across the line. It might be, though, Jay. And it isn't, unfortunately.
No, wasn't he? Absolutely chucks it through Cheetah, and I think lost most of the time. He threw caution to the wind to see what he could do. Darren King improving late on there, moves himself up onto the 3rd row to get himself involved in the championship picture in terms of getting in the way of our championship standards. Not that will bother him at all. So good return to him on the 3rd row. I think that's probably nicely balanced, I would say.
Yep.
Currently, the championship leader starts 7th, P2 starts 4th, and P3 starts 2nd.
This was exactly what we wanted.
Couldn't have choreographed that any better.
And we've got that right issue, the mathematics issue of Darren McCormack leading currently. Obviously, Harry Phillips is going to throw a massive spanner in the works with that Porsche if it's quick during race pace. So let's see. Obviously, we don't want disasters happening at the beginning, but they're bound to happen, Jay. So we'll pray that doesn't throw anything into the championship mix like we saw with Grantis Caracas last time around. Good, though, to see him not throwing in the towel. He is joining us, albeit a little bit further back this afternoon, but we'll get to that. Jamie, favourite African savanna grazing animal as we're in South Africa today? Anything? Anything worth notice?
This is where I embarrass myself not knowing whether they're actually from that part, but an Ibanez?
Oh, what, sorry?
An Ibanez?
Do you mean
like gazelle type things?
Do you mean an ibex?
I probably mean an ibex.
You embarrass yourself with a bit of pronunciation.
Ibanez is the guitar, don't worry. Look, we're here to concentrate on a race, Rage, all right?
Okay.
Do I mean an ibex?
But they do. Oh, they're only found in North and East Africa. So you can get Siberian and Alpine.
I really fail to see the relevance.
Well, the guys want to know. They want to know what your favourite savanna grazing animal is. They come here for this kind of content, and they're disappointed if you don't give it to them. Mine is obviously a lion. Like, come on. Anyway, Darren McCormack currently on the top spot. He'll be joined by Tinko Van der Velde, who's currently occupying the 2nd spot, but on the front row of the grid. Let's go into the Helicam and we'll see everyone as we go further back. So 2nd row, Marco Yonkers. 3rd row, joining him would be Luke Whitehead. And then the 3rd row will be Darren King and Harry Phillips back there. And then 4th row will be George Boothby and Valentine Barrier. 5th row, Leon Byrne. Done wild this afternoon. We didn't actually mention his name, did we? He'll be with Hugo Merles, just a little bit behind. 6th row, Lucas Markvart, Angel Instroza. And then we've got Jardier and Samir Foch back there in the 7th row, doing quite well today. These are the guys, so the YouTube boys. Who won out of the YouTube battle? Oh, 100%. It was Darren King, wasn't it? Jardier will be joined by Samir Foch. Teammates there. A little bit of Yas Heat banter going on. Jura Petrichenko, and Isaac Price will be on the 8th row, a little further behind. 9th row is Arthur Patat, Vasily Anarev. 10th row, Lois and Vanko Wunko Dimitrov. Then we've got Felix Hacker and Grantis Caracas in the 11th row, and Gert Fischer right at the very back this afternoon in a BMW. No BGS, hasn't joined in the final dying seconds, so there we go. That's the rundown with a minute to go. Chat are loving that conversation, actually, So, no, Lion is not a grazing animal, Rage. Well, they graze on the likes of Jamie. What's an ibex? We got the big five here. Well, Jack, what's your favourite?
Felix is agreeing with me, and only Mini agreed with you, all right?
So
we have a championship decider between three of the best racers.
Always trying to change the subject here, man. I'm trying to, engage.
I just had a coughing fit, which isn't really very helpful.
Oh, dear. Well, fine. I was just, the big five. What are the big five? 10 points to the person who can name the big five. It's topical, Jamie. We've got 30 seconds to ban.
We do, and I thought I'd talk us through, what we might see from this race then.
Oh, no. Are we joining you in Statistics Corner? Are we going live down to Tyre Row?
No, I was just going to say, goodness sake, you're being a real pain today. No, I mean, what do you... Dara, I think, is one that I think I know the answer to. But obviously Darren King, Harry Phillips up there as well, Valentin Barrier doing well in that Aston as well. Do you think those boys will give a slightest bit of ounce towards the championship battle today, or they just go in there knowing that they can get a good result when the others have got so much to lose?
Yeah, you have to. You've got to really throw your car into a position of chaos, right? You know that there's people out there fighting for the championship. I think they will give a little bit of space if something was to go wrong, I don't think they will be as aggressive. Say you're Darren King, right? Are you going to push Luke Whitehead off track? Are you going to be that person? And I don't mean that to any Darren King fans. We'll completely just change track. Valentin Barrier, right? Are you going to push the likes of Luke Whitehead? I'm not getting into that. Luke Whitehead into the position where the championship could be decided? I don't think you would. But would you put up a fight with that driver and cause him to lose time? Hell yeah, why not? Like the likes of Yonkers, he's right there in the middle of things. Would he cause a problem? Hell yeah. Would he crash someone out? Probably not.
No, exactly. I would imagine they're not going to throw any haste towards it at all in terms of whether, or any second thought, shall I say, in terms of putting a move down the inside. The other factor, and I hate to put these kind of things into the picture, but it's possible, Dara McCormack is the teammate of Tinker van der Velde.
Oh, you're going to start saying some crazy, woo type things.
Do you know we love our theories?
Oh, God.
That's what it does in general. But, that Porsche is massively dominant. But obviously Dara, through some bad luck, it must be say, as well as some great performance in a Porsche that's not really been up to speed, it cannot win the championship. But Van der Velde can.
I don't think
but
so.
We'll see.
No, I don't think stuff like that will happen.
For, really?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's perfectly legal to hold people up, but would you?
I don't even mean hold people up. I mean, barring something massively going wrong for him, I feel like Dara's going to walk away with this.
Oh, yeah.
And if Van der Velde is in second place coming towards the end of the race, and Luke Whitehead's still in fourth or fifth,
would he let him past?
Just saying, just putting it in the picture there, and we'll pick that up a bit later.
Oh, Jamie loves his conspiracies. I, for one, think they'll play all fair and square, he says, hoping that something does happen like that. I mean, we have had championship deciders go down to incidents on track. He screams in Malinowski and Kevin Siglari of a couple of years ago. That was quite fun in the after interview because we got them both into the same box afterwards. We almost had to got it closed quite quickly. That was fun. So, something like that could happen. Inter-team, I'm still not sure. I know you said they might let him through to take the win. Possibly. Will Luke Whitehead be down there in 4th, 5th, 6th? I don't think so. I think Luke Whitehead will be knocking on the door.
That's the point. Yeah, good point.
No. All barring there's no accidents going forward. Well, talking of Luke Whitehead, we've got really some good choices of where to start here. I think it'll be poignant maybe for us to stay with Dara McCormack and Tinker van der Velde and just see what happens going down to turn 1. Well, technically 2, because, let's just see what happens. Jay, it's been a pleasure all season. It's been fun. We've talked about daft things, even today. But this is the final race of Season 11 with a lot on the line. Up to 5 drivers could technically win the championship. Only 3, really, if you're a betting man. We're about to start then for 1 hour's racing round Kyalami. We've gone green, Jay. They're all off pretty damn good. I mean, there's no real corners in the way. Let's see if they can get through turn 2 without tripping over each other. Dara McCormack, Tinker van der Velde very close. There's some jostling going behind. I think that's Harry Phillips going out wide. Tinker van der Velde holds on to the outside and gets pushed out into that rumble strip. That's going to affect him on the exit, but it doesn't. But there comes Luke Whitehead battling, panelling his beaters, beating his pals to get past the likes of Yonkers back there in 4th place, but I don't think he's able to do it. But look what Darren King's doing. He's trying to get past already, and there has been a change, Jetty. There has been a change at the top. Luke Whitehead has managed to get past Yonkers. That was a key overtake very early on.
Yeah, we've had Grant Caracas, Hugo Merles, Hacker, and Dimitrov all get caught up at the back early on. There was quite a big accident towards the back of the field. But yeah, Luke Whitehead made a really good start, and then Yonkers came back at him down the inside of turn 1, but wasn't able to make it stick as they went back up the hill. And yeah, that's an ideal start for Whitehead, really. He's got a few more cars, one more car in between himself and Boothby, and he can now see the back of his currently main championship rival, Van der Velde. But we'll have to wait and see as the lap goes on. Darren King, good start as well, holding that 5th place. And we'll see what kind of race pace those Astons have got. So they were knocking on the back of the top 10 last race, but they've not really been very competitive all season. But they've come alive at Kyalami, and we'll see how Valentin Barrier and Darren King get involved in this top 10 battle.
Right, well, we did see George Boothby going for it with Harry Phillips, but nothing's happened between them. One of them had a look up the inside, but I don't think we got it. Sorry, Martin, if I shouted too loudly. It's the last race of the season, and at the back there. We'll be careful with the levels. I do apologise. Dara McCormack still leading, Tinker Van der Velde in 2nd place, Luke Whitehead in 3rd, and Yonkers in 4th. Darren King, brilliant start, like you say, but Harry Phillips still there. George Boothby definitely wants a piece of him. We're on board him at the moment. Who else have we got threatening for positions? There's lots of places to look at the moment, isn't there, really? Jardier back there in 11th place, getting close to Lucas Mardvart. That's even pace between them. It's Ferrari versus Ferrari. But Luke Whitehead, yeah, like I said, pivotal place to get past Yonkers there early on, but can he hold on to the back of Tinker Van der Velde, considering he's done that all championship, trying to hold on to the back of Tinker? Do you think he's got the pace to do it today?
On the face of it at the moment, he's a little bit distant. Van der Velde's holding on to Dara a lot better than I thought. Previous comments come into mind there, but we'll wait and see. But this is all he really needs to do at the moment. We know Luke Whitehead from what he was saying in terms of his maths calculations that were in his brain all the way through the last race. He'll know exactly what position he needs to be at any one time. So I think he's probably fairly happy where he is at the moment. He needs to outscore George Boothby by 8 points, which I think he's doing currently. So I think he'll be happy to sit there for the moment, just see what kind of pace the front two have got. He seems to have the measure over Yonkers behind, as Darren King and Harry Phillips run a little wide after Cheetah, which gets George Boothby quite interested. That's the thing, though. He can't rest on his laurels because George Boothby certainly isn't in 7th place.
It is hard to overtake here, isn't it? You know, people do say it's quite a tricky track because, you know, where is there? I guess down the start-finish straight, if you get a good run out of Ingwe, you can give it a go, but it is tough. As we're watching Adrian Stroza go down towards turn 2, I think this is going to be the main overtake point unless there is some real incidents in, you know, later on in the track. And that is Adrian Stroza up into, I will say 14th, but he's got the inside line to get it done. So yeah, good position for him taken. Harry Phillips, though, how long is he going to last to the current championship leader? That is the main question, because he is getting pushed pretty quick. Has he got past? He has. We missed that one, Jay. We missed the move. It was probably down into turn 2, but that's George Boothby up to 6th place. He's dispatched Harry Phillips. I'm a bit disappointed that Harry Phillips hasn't thrown a little bit more into this race. He has kept him back for a little bit, and now really we've got what we thought was going to happen with these guys really fighting towards the end. Next up for George Boothby, Darren King. Can he hold him up for very long? I think he probably could, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, none of these top 8 are really out of it where they are at the moment. They're all still line astern, and that's the problem. You make up a position like that with what was, I'm sure, a brilliant move, but you suddenly got nowhere to go with it. And if he gets held up a little bit, I wouldn't bet against Harry Phillips having to go back at him. Valentin Barrier is looking incredibly racy at the back of this pack, as well as George Boothby has to go a little early on the brakes to avoid Darren King, and that gets Harry Phillips even closer now. So yeah, they're all completely still in this picture. But that's one position gained and one step closer to the championship from George Boothby as Valentin Barrier nearly runs into the back of Harry Phillips in the final corner. And they're all just sort of feeling themselves out at the moment. The only gap that's really developing is the gap between 2nd and 3rd. Van der Velde is holding on very nicely to Dara, and Luke Whitehead's just dropped out of that 2nd slipstream at the moment. And Van der Velde is staying very... I was surprised by this. I thought Dara would absolutely run away in this Porsche. But I reckon, you said it wouldn't be doing, but I think he might be just allowing Van der Velde to hold on a little bit here. Just to help him out. I don't see why they wouldn't when they're teammates.
Yeah, I mean, is it games at this stage, you know? Do you play games? I mean, it's championships on the line. That's what your teammate's for. I know that's what you said earlier. Who knows? Who knows? If you're Dara McCormack and you're Tinker Van der Velde, you're definitely in the same conversation. And if you're out of that championship contention, do you help? That's the main thing. But Luke Whitehead, even if he does help at this stage, Tinker Van der Velde need Luke to finish all the way down, what did you say it was? 4th, 5th, 6th? No higher than 4th?
If none of them win, it gets incredibly complicated. So we'll work that out as they get a bit further in. I can, if you want to talk us through any battles on track, I can work out.
No, there's no point working stuff out now. No,
it's too close. Because it's probably a good thing, because then it'll be easier to work out as they go up and down. So if you give me a minute while you talk through it, I can at least tell you roughly where they are at the moment.
He's going to shuffle off to statistics corner. Do you want to borrow my calculator? I'll throw it, probably catch it all the way across the country.
I mean, we're talking in numbers under 100. I don't need a calculator.
Well, I needed a calculator. If it's got more than 2 digits, I thought I'll get out the old calculation machine. We're on board with George Boothby then. It looked like it was going to happen at the top with Tinker Van der Velde, but it didn't. Luke Whitehead still behind. He's dropped to a second now. Yonkers is half a second back, then Darren King, and this is the fight we're watching at the moment. George Boothby's really quick this afternoon on the race pace. Really deciding to go early. We could possibly have a tyre situation. You never know what's going to happen. I think currently at the moment we know that the weather is going to be good. So we'll see. We'll see. Darren King is holding him back though. Harry Phillips actually during this kind of little fight that we've got going on. Right behind. And you've also got Valentin Barrier still right behind. What is the time in the race? Let's have a look. Oh, it's only 2 p.m. I saw some cars there with the lights on. I thought, oh no, we're not going to go to the old night time during this race, and I don't think we are. We're all good. How's Statistics Corner treating you?
We're just working through it. I was just keeping an eye on that time and the weather. So, yeah, it's looking like it's going to be dry all the way through. I'm also battling a coughing fit that I had while you were running through the grid. It's really playing havoc with me. The most battle on the track at the moment is actually Hardier on the back of Mark Fart. Might be worth keeping an eye on in the battle of the 2 Ferraris. You
can see it there in the background.
Himself into the top 10 in this final race.
Yeah, we saw that developing. We are at the moment concentrating on what's happening because we've got a gaggle of 4 cars that are going toe-to-toe. It involves Valentin Barrier, Harry Phillips, George Boothby and Darren King. Darren King being the one who's being chased and the others being the aggressors. Aston versus Ferrari are both they're both good on this track. I mean, Aston Martin's come into its own a little bit more towards the end of this season. It was right down there when we started off, so it's good to see that it's slightly a little bit more effective in this latter stage of the season. Yonkers still half a second back. Tinker Van der Velde, 8/10. Luke Whitehead is actually fallen back a little bit further as Valentin Barrier goes for a move up the inside of Harry Phillips. There is contact, Jay, but it's all good. Phillips has to come back onto the track to avoid spinning. He flashes like a madman outside your local Tesco's, but manages to hold on to that position. Does Valentin Barrier? Will he give it back? I don't think so. All fair and good and a little bit of rubbing. George Boothby still, though, on the back of Darren King. Darren King's going to have massive shoulders to try and hold on to that space. You've got to make yourself as wide as possible. Darren King he's got about 2 tenths in hand. It's not going to be for very long. Let's go on board with George Boothby. Let's go inside George Boothby's actual anus as we jump into this car.
Let's not. Yeah, as we said, nothing to lose from Valentin Barrier. Get himself inside that top 7. I just told you he was looking quick. Yeah, George Boothby all over the back of Darren King. The maths all works out, but if George Boothby gets past, it's all got to be done again. That's the problem we've got. At the moment, though, he is 3rd in the championship, George Boothby.
Okay.
If I've worked that, I must have. Yeah, I've worked that way. So he's gone from 1st to 3rd, so he needs to make progress. Is currently Luke Whitehead in the box seat then. So Luke Whitehead currently would be on a 470 points, Tinker Van der Velde with that second place, 465, George Boothby 458.
So currently...
So it's not much difference, 3 positions, but that's enough quite drastically because of the declining point scale for George Boothby to go from first to third. So currently, Luke is doing enough to be champion.
Oh, the panel beater is beating his way into the championship contention at this stage then. He's doing everything he needs. He doesn't need to run away with the win. I mean, it all change around. Tinker van der Velde gets the top spot, but George Boothby needs to make moves. Look, if he can get past Darren King, which we can quite see he's struggling behind, he's got the pace to improve and get past. So let's just have a look at some of the split times and the best laps. 141 is Darren King, and we've got a 140.9, so it's kind of round about where we are, I think. You can see that he's been behind him for so long, he hasn't been able to get those faster laps in. It's a tenth or so here, but I think once Boothby's released, he can't get past. He must be screaming at Darren King here. Look, you're not in the championship hunt here. I am. I can do something if you let me past.
And I can hear Darren King's laugh in my head. That's what I mean. It doesn't matter to those boys.
No, it doesn't.
He's returned after he's pointless so far, Darren King. He has not competed in most of the races, but he's suddenly in Kyalami in a competitive Aston Martin against George Booth. But you're going to hold on for all you're worth, right? I will tell you, he needs more than that fifth place currently occupied by Darren King, though.
He's got to get past Yonkers as well.
He needs another place if Luke Whitehead doesn't get passed by Yonkers, because Yonkers all over the back of him. We're 12 minutes in and I'm already doing far too maths.
Far too maths is fine. Far too maths.
We need to do, and
I told you.
Running out of words.
I told you. Leave the calculator at home at the moment. It's all going to change later on. We got a 5-second penalty for Angel Strozer. We didn't see what that was for. It might have been what happened at the beginning. Obviously, those boys that span round, the likes of Grantis Karakas, Hacker, Dimitro, I think was involved. Maybe Hugo Merlers. Done an early pit down there for Merlers. He's done and he's out, so he might have got caught up. Not too sure what happened. I know we saw the spin. That's why we went back at the beginning.
Yeah, it's Hacker, Dimitrov, Merlers that caught up. Merlers' front end was completely smashed in, and his windscreen cracked as well. It was a pretty big impact for the Ferrari, but he's the first one of those that have taken the mandatory pit stop, so we'll see if he can recover from there.
So do you think at this stage Luke Whitehead knows that he's in the prime spot?
As I said, I think I am having a stroke trying to do maths. You're quite right.
I think
I'm fighting a coughing fit and doing maths. It's not a good combination. Okay. I think he will know.
Try not to die.
He's considering the depth that he went to in terms of how he was calculating the points in the last race when we talked to him in the podium interviews. I think he will know. He'll know what he needs. And he'll be fairly happy where he is. I still feel like Van der Velde is getting pulled along by Dara, because that gap has really opened out and Van der Velde is holding all over the back of a Porsche that should be a lot quicker really around this track, so he's really helping him out. So I think we have to keep the possibility, and Luke will know this, of Dara and Van der Velde swapping places at some point, as we've talked about.
If that happens, does that mean Luke Whitehead's out of the top spot?
It means Van der Velde is currently 5 points short. And he would gain 12 points by getting gifted that first place. Is that how you want to win the championship? Maybe not, but
I mean, Tinko at this stage could win the championship if his teammate helped him out. Is that what you're saying, Jay? Live from Statistics Corner. That's all the maths you'll get here all of the time.
We're going to need to see some classic George Boothby here. I feel that's the thing that's going to make the impact on the championship. I feel like Luke Whitehead can't really do much about the two in front of him at the moment. We've got the strategy of the stops to come as well, of course.
Yeah.
But we need to see George Boothby's pace in free air to see. I think Yonkers has made a mistake somewhere on this lap. He's dropped off a little bit. He seems to have got a bit closer to the guys in front. I was going to say that gap's almost 2 seconds down to 1.6. But yeah, it's we need to see if he's got the kind of pace to worry those two Hondas ahead of him. But he's got to be careful here because Van Barry is crawling all over the back of him. And as we saw a few laps ago with his dive on Harry Phillips into turn 1, he's not afraid to get interested with what's a resurgent Aston Martin around here.
Right, I'll jump into the naughty box a second because I think we've got some things to discuss. We have incident, this is the one that we did actually see at the beginning, involving cars number 19 It also involved, that was Grantis Caracas. Car number 4, that would have been disastrous if it was championship dependent. Obviously, Grantis Caracas took himself out of that last time. Car number 44, I don't know who that was. I think that's Dimitrov. Car number 525, I think that's Felix Hacker. Incident involving all 3. Huge penalty for that. So we got 30-second time penalty, 3 license points for Felix Hacker. So yeah, causing 2 avoidable collisions within a couple of seconds. So there we go. 5-second time penalty for car number 96 for an incident with car number 13. 96 Angel Instroza, and car number 13 is Hugo Merles, who that's why he came into the pit very soon. There you go, 5-second penalty for 96, no further action for 13. That is it for now from the naughty box. We'll come back to it if anything else heats up. Anything to report, Jay?
No, just watching these 4 as we have been, Linus Stern, they're all matching each other so closely. Harry Phillips actually looks the quicker of the 4 at the moment at the back on that Porsche, but that just might be where the car's stronger around here. But yeah, it was going to be a pretty big crash at the beginning, and yeah, it looks like it was Hacker that was the main culprit. It did ruin 4 people's races, and there was a lot of damaged race cars at the back of that field, so unfortunately that'll be why. But yeah, we're just getting a lull as these 4 are trying to sort of feel each other out. The gaps come down again between Darren King and Yonkers, and we've got a very early stop from Barrier.
Yep.
So he's going to pull the trigger in that Aston Martin. Feels he's got more pace than that train's allowing him, and he's going to try and undercut them.
Yep. Well, that released Harry Phillips as well, though, crucially. Has he got enough speed to hold on to the back of Boothby?
Yeah, he'll want to get it back in that slipstream very quickly, you're right. But yeah, that's really going to shake things up a bit in that top 10, because that's a bit earlier than we're used to from these front guys. So we'll keep an eye on his lap, or I'll keep an eye on his lap times a bit later on. See what kind of impression he's making, but that could make big strides into the top 10. Into the top 5, sorry, if he can get it working. But George Boothby is the one most threatening at the moment. He's crawling all over the back of Darren King. So we come in to the first of a double left-hander. Stay as close as you can. Really unsettles the car following a car through this left-right up the hill. You're on the throttle pretty much straight away on the exit, all the way up the hill, run the car out as wide as you dare, take as much curb, and then so easy to outbrake yourself here. You want to actually brake a little bit earlier than you think to get the best exit possible, because it's a massive long straight down the hill through the basically non-existent right-hander, which is flat out. Don't think he's going to be close enough to try something down the inside here, but he's certainly letting Darren King know he's there.
I mean, Darren King's had him behind him for so long though. Now, that threat, I mean, it must kind of dissipate slightly. Otherwise, he'll be swimming by the end of this race. George
Boothby's going to react.
It. Wow, okay, interesting. He thinks, look, I'm going to do it too. Okay, well, there you go. First of the big hitters. Current championship leader George Boothby has pulled it in early. It's happened to him before, Jay. He's been able to pull off absolute miracles this season by pitting first. Very interesting stuff, and it could be crucial for this championship. Let's see if it can work for him. Also crucially for the championship, we haven't really noticed it. It's happened slowly, but Tinker van der Velde has dropped off from Darren McCormack. 1.8 seconds. He's outside of that second window that he's been nursing for the first couple of laps. Luke Whitehead dropped back even further. Look, 3.6 seconds. May have even had some sort of an issue, but he's, yeah, really far back now from that little runaway pack. But yeah, Tinker van der Velde definitely falling back slightly. Well, there you go. Interesting. Will it have an effect? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, the crucial one's going to be whether he can get back out ahead of Barrier. I think that's what he would have been afraid about. Barrier coming across start-finish straight is easily going to clear him then. So that's how powerful the undercut is. He's not even going to be in slipstream range as they get down into turn 1. And that's going to put Barrier clearly ahead of Darren King, and maybe even ahead of Yonkers, considering they're only a second apart. So that's worked out brilliantly for the Aston Martin and Valentine Barrier, and that's put George Boothby with even more to do. But crucially, that could be just what he needs to get past Darren King himself.
Yeah, I reckon that will actually help a little bit. Valentine Barrier's a yardstick a little bit further away. It might give him a bit of sauce to maybe improve his laps. He won't be in a position where it's actually costing him time because of the wake in front. It's almost like giving a donkey a carrot, right? I think that's not too bad. I think he knew with the early pit there from Valentin Barrier he's going to get the jump anyway. It's just damage limitation, and I think he's in a different race to Barrier. Anyway, it might be something that he has to deal with later on in the race, of course. And I think he's got the tools at his disposal to dispatch later. Sorry.
Darren King's in.
Yeah, I saw Jurapetchenko joins him too. No, it's fine. It's all good.
I think the key here is going to be whether he gets 2 for the price of 1. If he can get Yonkers and Darren King with the undercut, then he's net ahead. And he's only got Barrier to clear. If he comes back out behind Darren King or Yonkers, then it's not really helped him at all.
Oh, 100% coming.
Extra laps on... well, Yonkers gone for another lap, obviously.
I mean, Darren King, he'll pass Darren King with ease. 100%. Look at the...
Well, Barrier's coming down the start-finish straight now. Darren King's already on the power, so it's not going to be a slam dunk here. Darren King's definitely a lot further ahead than Barrier was. Yeah, King comes back out just behind Barrier. So I wonder if George Boothby had an issue in his stop.
Possibly.
Because he's lost out a bit more than you would have expected there. He stayed about the same gap behind Darren King throughout that lap. So he's behind Barrier, sorry. So he did a 40.9, which was quicker than Darren King last time round. So I reckon he may have had an issue on his pit stop.
Yeah, that's
maybe a little slow putting the limiter on, or getting into his box and stopping, or overshooting it. But yeah, that's put him behind both of those Aston Martins, and a lot of work to do now.
He made a small mistake on the outlap, not as big as what we can see here. There was either an issue on that in, or the actual pit itself, or he fixed a little bit of crucial damage that we haven't seen. But yeah, I think you're right, Jay. Maybe missing his box slightly. Maybe not turning the car on quick enough. That can have that kind of effect, because these guys tend to turn off and stop. Jurapetchenko with a 30-second stop-go. That would be for you speeding in the pit lane. That's unfortunate. I don't think Barrier's got himself a 5-second penalty. Not too sure what that's for. I have to double-check. Can you check the naughty box quickly, Jay? See what's that about.
You want to keep an eye on Luke Whitehead. Make sure he gets back out after this stop ahead of Barrier and King. It should be fairly comfortable, but obviously pretty crucial for the championship. So
it's been released.
Go and have a look down there now.
He's been released. We're watching the fail cam. Yeah, he's just about... He'll stay ahead. I mean, it'll be close. That's the gap then for Boothby. Barrier just behind, you can see. Be interesting for Boothby now, though, because he'll be able to see what he's got to make up. I'm not sure that early stop for Boothby has given him his little key that he needed to open up that position. We'll have to see what the likes of Tinker van der Velde and Dara McCormack do here, because they've seen that the boys have come in early, and there's definitely gains to be had. And if they don't come in themselves after 2 laps, they're going to be a little bit stuck. So I can see Dara McCormack going an extra lap like he has done. Tinker van der Velde's done it too. Right, this is going to be interesting then. What kind of effect it's going to have on their long-term pace if they continue out.
So I don't actually have access to the naughty box, it would seem.
Okay, I'll have a little look at the naughty box.
For it.
Okay.
Well, crucially, the undercut has been powerful enough to mean that Barrier is only 1.5 seconds behind Whitehead when he's come back out. Obviously, fresher tyres on that Honda of Whitehead. Yeah, Van der Velde was a good 3.5 seconds ahead of Luke Whitehead, so I think he can afford to go another lap or 2. Yonkers is the interesting one. At the moment, he's right around, he was about 8 tenths of a second behind Luke Whitehead. So he's going to come back out right in this battle somewhere, and that could be crucial for the likes of George Boothby. Because if he's got another car ahead of him, then that's even more he's got to do to try and influence it. But yeah, Luke Whitehead, I mean, he's lost a little bit of time, but crucially, he has got back out at the head of that field for the moment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what these top 2 runners do. Obviously, because they're going to be losing time now to the guys behind. The gap was about 3 seconds when Luke Whitehead came in, so they've got a little bit of deficit they can hold on to.
Oh, we've got Harry Phillips to come back into this group as well. Yeah. He's all over the back of Yonkers.
Yeah.
They haven't stopped yet. They did 48.8 and 40.6, by the way, chat, those two last time round.
Tinko Van der Velde in. Sorry, Tinko's in. He had to. I think that's for the championship. He had to come in. There's no way he could stay that longer. We'll stay on board because we've seen a few pit incidences this season. There was a chat there, I think Writer said that Boothby got moved, so maybe that didn't quite get into his pit box properly, got moved, not too sure, maybe. So I know sometimes if you're not quite there, your car moves and slides back into the position. Maybe that's an iRacing thing. Anyway.
No, it's definitely in this, and it sometimes drops the car. I'm not incredibly irritated that it does that. It's not happened to me 100 times. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Valentine Barrier's 5-second time penalty came from a push to pass that we didn't see either. But it was bang on the marks for Tinko Van der Velde, so it'll be very interesting to see where Luke Whitehead comes out. I think I might stay with him as he's going through, I think, Crocodiles and Cheetah-ish area, isn't he? This is going to be close, Jay. The gap's going to come down between these boys. This is what Luke Whitehead needs. He needs to put some threat on to the back of Tinko Van der Velde with the likes of Boothby. If he is threatening Darren King, the gap is a second between those two.
Sorry to disappoint you, I mean he's comfortably ahead.
Is he? Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, no, you can see him exiting in the distance there.
So Luke only had one lap, and that lap was a 140.6, which really wasn't good enough. In fact, Barry was 2 tenths quicker behind him, so he's more under threat from behind at the moment. But we'll remind you, he is doing enough, Luke White. No, he's... Oh, my thing hadn't updated. I thought Harry Phillips had got in between them. He hasn't. He's got in between Darren King and Boothby, crucially, though. That's another position loss for George Boothby, which will now put him, I believe, in 8th or 9th place once this all shakes out. So you're right, that early stop has not worked out.
It hasn't. A little stop that has worked out fantastically, and it's caused absolute pandemonium for the championship. Harry Phillips was able to come in and out in front of George Boothby. So yeah, he's caused absolute chaos for the championship by making what was probably a very good little pit there, part of the Wild Things racing team. Harry Phillips coming to strength at the end of this season. Really good to see. Right, guys, if you want to keep an eye on the lap times, you can. It's pinned at the top of this conversation. You can go to the pit wall. I'll see if I can pop it in here again. There you go. You want to watch the lap times live? You can also watch the commentary live there. You can also see what they're doing and what they're doing blow for blow each lap. So good stuff. Big loss for Boothby. Yeah, it must be down to that pit stop issue, Jay, I reckon, where the car wasn't quite settled in the spot, got moved or dropped, and that's caused obviously quite a big loss net in the old pit stop phase for George Boothby. Dropped out of contention on the back of Darren King, so that's caused a big upset. The gap for Luke Whitehead is still 3 seconds, so there you go. Valentine Barrier is actually on the move to possibly overtake, like you said.
Yeah, that's second lap in a row. He's quicker, and well, we'll work out some maths maybe around the 20-minute mark once the
let's down tools on that, I reckon.
But Barrier on Whitehead could be enough, I feel, to swing that currently, and wouldn't need Van der Velde's teammate to help him out at all. The other one to come back into this battle, then Yonkers, currently running second, still staying out. He was well, Phillips was crawling all over the back of him before the stop, so that's going to be another crucial one as to whether he comes out ahead or behind the Phillips-Boothby battle that's going on at the moment. And Dara, I think, just starting to use some of the pace of that Porsche to extend as much as he can as Yonkers comes into the pit. Dara McCormack's last lap time, a 140.3, quicker than the lot of them, and he still hasn't stopped.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show he's got some clean air. Mini Simeon, we think it was a pit stop issue where you don't quite hit your box properly, or he had a bit of damage he needed to repair that we didn't see, but I'm not sure that's the case. Got moved, yeah. So I think he got moved in the pit stop phase. Maybe it's a really annoying bug. Didn't quite hit. I'm assuming that's what it is. Didn't quite hit the pit box correctly. So yeah, big penalty for that for him. Well, it's only a small one, but in these kind of conditions, it's big. It's lost him 2 positions on track at least. We'll see what happens with Yonkers when he decides to come in.
He's in now. He's on pit exit. He's just been released from his box as we saw Harry Phillips get all out of shape out of Cheetah, but just about held on to it. Darren King's going to comfortably go past. Phillips goes past, yeah, and crucially does Boothby.
Yeah.
So Yonkers from 3rd place on the grid, running 4th a few laps ago, is going to come back out under threat from Hardier into turn 1, who's going to try and go around the outside. Bit of contact. Yonkers will try to force him wide. and then hold on again to get the inside line for the left-hander. Hardier will try to go all the way around the outside. He's going to get onto the grass, lose a bit of traction. And watch out, here comes Leon Burnt to make it almost 3 wide. He can't find a route through. Hardier just about holds on to the inside through the right-hander. And as long as he can find the space to drift out wide ahead, which he does, he holds on to that position, and Jonker's immediately back under pressure.
Yeah, Marfart there too.
Behind.
Yeah, fantastic little bit of racing. Unfortunately, we've just been smothered with strategy as opposed to toe-to-toe racing, and that was the first little bit there. And of course, it's Jardier to give us that absolutely fantastic overtake. Massive on the brakes as well. Lucas Marfart trying to get past Leon Burnt in the background there. We might go on board with him actually because he's so close. Yonkers, I think, is a little bit of a stopgap for these boys, but I think he's probably in good company where he is. I think that's probably where he'll stay if he can get the pace under control. Really good comeback here for Jardier. That's really good, isn't it? Up to P9, considering when he started.
He was actually the first that stopped. He'd got himself onto the back of the top 10 anyway, but he stopped even before Boothby. And came out a couple of seconds behind him, so that's allowed him to use that undercut well. But I think he's going to be forming a bit of a Hardier train for the rest of the race because his tyres won't be in the best of shape. But he's put himself in the best position possible. What I think is a net 9th place for him at the moment, 8th even, as Price makes his stop from the front of the field, and we're just waiting for Dara now then, the only one.
I mean, what do you do at this stage? Surely he's throwing away. Maybe this is the strategic giving the position to Tinker van der Velde. You know, maybe this is what we were talking about. He's not done it on track, he's done it in the pit stop phase, and he's going to cause chaos for the guys behind. Because if he comes in now, there's every suspicion to say he'll be in between Tinker van der Velde and Luke Whitehead, maybe even further back.
I mean, Dara was still a 10th quicker than Van der Velde last lap round. His pace is, I think he was allowing Van der Velde to hold on early on to give him the slipstream to get away from Luke. And now we're actually seeing the real pace of that Porsche, which is just dominant.
Seeing a fantastic race here, Jay.
Go on.
Sorry. Marfart, Burnt and Yonkers going toe-to-toe through the middle part of this track. Marfart looking at crazy karting lines to get it done at Lukop, turn 10. He does actually have a run, but not a good exit. He might get something done down towards turn 12, but they're all going toe-to-toe. It's 3 on 3 here, Jay. But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, fine. I've gone back to my maths corner. Sorry.
I've assumed natural position in my math corner.
Yep, so Marfart didn't find a way through. We'll see what the straight line speed is down the main straight, as long as they can all navigate cheaters safely, which they do. Marfart at the back, very close to that curb. Maybe try and just cut underneath. Burnt, not quite able to. And I think they'll probably struggle with the straight line speed of that Hondas. Just look at them disappear in front of them. Must be such a demoralising sight.
They do just run away, don't they?
They really do, obviously. They're all picking up slipstreams ahead as well, but Marfart should have had enough slipstream to hold on, and he just didn't.
Right.
Do you want to know?
No, not right now. Have you accounted for Valentin Barrier's 5 second? Because obviously, technically, at this stage, Boothby might actually be 6th, not 7th.
I hadn't. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think it's just about...
In which case, nothing has changed.
No, you're right. George Boothby, yeah, he is only 2nd away. Phillips would make it 1.5. Add that to the 2 with Darren King, that's just under 5. So yeah, he should be fine. He might have 1 more second, but it's right on the bounce, really. We'll have to wait and see later on when the gap's kind of long out a bit. So yeah, we'll see.
He does. I mean, it doesn't really change much for him. He needs to go forward and rapidly if he can, but he's obviously running out of tyres already against those guys that pitted a few laps after. I think the main battle is going to be between Whitehead and Van der Velde, as Dara is now in. I expect him to come back out comfortably ahead. But we'll see. Yeah, he's on pit exit now, off the limiter, and yeah, I think he'll be ahead by a couple of seconds, maybe 3 from Van der Velde. So currently, yeah, Luke's still on 470. Tinker van der Velde 465. George is on 458 if he can stay within 5 seconds of barrier. Otherwise, he's on 452.
So what you're saying, it's number 1 position for Luke Whitehead, 2nd place in the championship with Tinker van der Velde, and 3rd place will be George Boothby as they stand.
Correct.
So George Boothby currently... Sorry.
Sport. boys, though, if they were to find themselves the other way around, would hand Tinker van der Velde what you believe is his first AOR championship?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I mean, that has got to be the best team move. It has to be done. I just don't see why that wouldn't happen. We discussed it at the beginning of the race, but as we come towards the end of this, I just think it might actually happen. You know, Dave is going to do the honourable thing and swap round. I mean, does he though? How does he do it? Does he blatantly do a a swap round worthy of the 90s Ferraris? Or was it early 2000s? I can't remember when they always used to. Oh, we're not really swapping around, I promise. You know what I mean? That's
I
what
wanted
it's
to
gonna
make
come
it
down
look
to.
half believable. You know, a lock up. Oh, I took a bit of gravel.
Yeah. Oh, muck cheater up. What a shame on the last lap. I mean, I'd hate to think that the championship would be decided like that, but I mean, there's no rule to say that you can't help your teammate.
Would you want to win one like that? I guess you wouldn't care, would you?
It doesn't matter. You've fought throughout the whole championship. If your teammate helps you get there, that's all the better. I don't see why that. I wouldn't take any shame in that at all. Whether other people would, I don't know, but we'll have to see. You know, I feel bad for Luke Whitehead because he's obviously sitting there in the top spot now, but all he knows that a bit of inter-team fandanglery would send that championship into the ether for him. But hey ho, he's got one under his belt already. Tinko hasn't. We'll have to see how it goes towards the end. Not much going on where we're watching at the moment, so we'll jump back to the likes of Harry Phillips, George Boothby and Jardier. Jardier's got a little bit more work to do to get there. Leon Burnt, Mark Vart and Yonkers again are still pretty close, but this Harry Phillips Darren King battle has got the hallmarks of something special, so I think we'll stay with them. What would you do if you came up to the back of a racy Darren King with nothing to lose?
Well, you hope that he doesn't turn in firstly. No, I'm joking. It's you've got to try and it's the same as getting past anybody. He's had a few laps now to try and work out his differences. Obviously, two different cars, so you've got to work out where that car is quicker. Normally, that Porsche should be better in the low speeds as it demonstrates the instability we've seen with that Porsche all season through the mid-speed as he loses the back end trying to get on the power too early up the hill. This is one of his best opportunities to try and stay close, not necessarily pass, but this is where the Porsche should be really good. And then the right-hander at the end before Cheetah has a good chance if he can stay a bit closer. But yeah, you've got to work out where you're quicker, where you're slower. Maybe throw him a dummy somewhere and find a way through. A lot easier said than done, though.
Right, Jay, I'm going to throw a massive bag of kittens into a massive pond here. It's going to be disastrous. I know, no one likes that.
Pond? What are you doing?
I know, crazy. George Boothby right on the back of Harry Phillips, right? Gets past him. Then he's right on the back of Darren King. Gets past him. All he's got up against is Valentine Barrier. Doesn't need to get past him because of the 5 seconds. Luke Whitehead is next up. If he's 4th place, can he win the championship? Look how close it is. It's possible for George Boothby.
BRB.
Yeah, this is what we need to think about too. It's not just what's happening at the top.
So he's on 399. He'd get 72 for 4th place, which would put him on 471.
Is that beating it by a point?
1 point ahead of
There you
Luke
go.
Whitehead.
So George
If my
Boothby
maths is correct, which I will double check in the last 10 minutes.
You go and math away, but George Boothby just needs to
yet.
clear
We're all
these
good.
two. He needs to clear these two ahead, and technically he can win the championship. Whether that's going to happen, I mean, if anyone can do it, George Boothby can do it. We've got many cats and many pigeons being put in different places here, boys. But at the moment, the one we're looking at is Tinker van der Velde and Luke Whitehead. But George Boothby's still in for a shout. It's not got any easier for these guys. This is the end of the Championship of Dreams, as Harry Phillips almost loses it. That loss of downforce on the front causing issues at the rear of that Porsche, as also he's just heated up the tyres. It's causing problems mid-corner. He might actually lose a position here. George Boothby smelling blood and noticing the disturbance. He wants past. He's flashing lights already, Jay. Championships are up for grabs here, and the Porsches are causing problems. Darren King, though, staying there, always, ever present in this battle that's stopping George Boothby from marching on to another championship with AOR. What can he do? Luke Whitehead slipping Darren King notes left, right and centre. That's all I can say.
Well, we knew this was going to be the case. We said it on the grid that the fly in the ointment was going to be the Porsches and the Astons being so competitive here, and it's really proving the case for Boothby, because even though Phillips got all out of shape, he had time to collect it up, get himself back in the groove and right on the back of Darren King before George Boothby could do anything about it. But yeah, he's got 20 minutes, right? He could be patient, but I also feel his tyres will be screaming enough towards the last 10 minutes because he did stop that much earlier than everybody else. Harry Phillips has got the freshest tyres on him, so this might be the best chance to get past the Porsche, because I feel like if he gets past Darren King, Harry Phillips he's going to sod off into the distance. So he's kind of got to be aggressive now, but he just doesn't seem to have the tools to do it at the moment, unless there's a mistake or, best case scenario, are coming together from the 2 cars ahead.
I think that Ferrari's reaching the limitations of what it can do here. You know, you've got some cars that are very, very quick ahead of you in the hands of drivers who are very, very quick themselves. You know, we can see it's not quite...
Oh, Harry Phillips dinks. I thought he was going to take a lunge there, sorry.
No, he changed lines quite unexpectedly, it's fine.
It's trying to scare him off the road on Halloween.
Ooh, many spooks again. But look, he gets close in the middle sector. He tries to get past. He's using different parts of the car. Oh, he jumps up the inside! Oh, he's not quite done it.
Oh, he's made contact. They're both round. He's held on to it.
But Jay, that's going to be championship deciding. He's waiting for him to give the position.
It is because he's going to be the gentleman. Rather than run on and take the penalty, he's led him back through to try and avoid the penalty.
I think he won't take the penalty for that, Jay. I think the stewards will be clever and wise enough to go, you know what, there's a championship at stake here. He gave the position back. No hurt, no foul. The damage has been done. You've lost that time in overall race time, I hope.
It's done 4.5 seconds of damage to Harry Phillips' race.
It has. It's unavoidable.
So, it will be a less severe penalty, but I think a penalty nevertheless, because he's made contact with him and lost him a bunch of time there. That could be it for George Boothby's race. In terms of the championship, he's still got 18 minutes, whatever happens. But yeah, we'll have to see if he can hold on to the back of Harry Phillips, because I feel like Harry Phillips has got the pace to catch Darren King before the end. What that does do is almost certainly drop him out of the range of Barrier's penalty, with potentially a penalty of his own to come. It's going to have to be heroic from here, Rage.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, it's a shame. Yeah, I think everyone wants to see some sort of heroic action coming from George Boothby, but hey ho, he's got teammate behind him that will be fighting for good positions too. The 39 of Jardier that's been doing fantastic work this afternoon. We can all agree. Yonkers getting very racy back there with these boys. Whereabouts is he, Marco Yonkers, who was side by side with Marvart and Leon Burnt there, but manages to hold on to where he was. We missed that action, but it did get quite hot and heavy. But there we go. George Boothby, yeah, it's going to be licking his wounds, I think. I'll be bitterly disappointed if he comes up with a penalty, but obviously, like you say, contact was made. Harry Phillips has lost a chunk of time that he's going to have to try and get back on the back of Darren King, but that, yeah, nearly 4 seconds without the slipstream. That's going to be pretty hard, I think, now, with the damage as well incurred, right?
Sorry, I'm taking this opportunity to recheck my maths of that embarrassing situation towards the end of the race.
That could be awful, couldn't it? We've mathed ourselves into a conundrum. Darren McCormack's still leading, guys, as you can see. Dave isn't championship contender this season. However, his teammate Tinker van der Velde in second place is. Will we have some team tomfoolery later? I surely hope not, but you never know. Luke Whitehead in third place, and he is quite a bit behind. 5 seconds there in the Honda. Tinker van der Velde's got that set up bang on, but he was pulled away by his teammate in the early stages of this race. Valentin Barrier in fourth place, but obviously with that 5-second penalty, he's going to lose that to Darren King quite easily. But Harry Phillips and George Boothby, I think, will be caught out by that. That is the top 7. Jardier, Marquardt, Yonkers, Leon Berg.
If you want to go on board
back
Yonkers
to turn
quickly.
11. Yes, let's go back to Yonkers.
He was trying to go around the outside of Marquardt. He was side by side. He's now going to try and go up the inside, up the hit. Oh, he just let him through.
Might have been some scrapey.
Yeah, there was, but I didn't feel he needs to let him through. But there we go. That's the end of that one. Sorry, as you were.
Yeah, the longer this race goes on, and the further that gap gets, Jay, I think the more concerned I get about the team thing actually happening. You know, we're nearly 7 seconds. Do you think Dara would actually put the anchors on and let his teammate go past with that, you know, in mind? I'm not sure he would, you know. I don't know.
I think the factor to bring in here is it's AOR, right? Mm-hmm. We know that it's the best racing anywhere in league racing, but, and it is a but, it's not a big paid championship, etc. So I'm 50-50 because it's going to have to be such an obvious I am waiting for you for 6 seconds, it's quite damaging, right? And I don't know if they will necessarily do that. It's also presuming that they know what we know.
Oh, they sure do.
That is enough. You'd presume so. I don't know. It's a really, really tough one, right? It depends how much they want it or they care about it. You would put it another way. If this was tier 8 and it was you and me, because let's face it, that's where we'd be, and I could win a championship, I'd be screaming at you right now to slow down in the Discord.
Yeah, you would, even if it is just for kudos, you know? I mean, like you say, there's not big money at stake, but there is, you know, it is a well-watched league. You know, people do use it for competitiveness, and it is a good community-run thing. So I don't see why someone wouldn't go, look, Dave, mate, see what we can do as a team here. I don't know. We'll have to see. I think, though, Dara's going for the win now. I think that gap's opened up so much so that I don't think they would change them around. Unless, you know, disaster strikes, which I don't think it will. Anyway, we're watching the battle with Yonkers, Burn, Mark Vart and whatnot, but the gaps have kind of slowly opened up. It's actually invited a few more drivers to come into that little playing field. The likes of Samir Fosh, Angel Inostroza, you can see in the background there. We'll go on board with Lucas Mark Vart and Samir Fosh, so you can see exactly what's going on with this little battle that's hotting up for the midfield, which we've seen a lot of racing, to be honest, this season, haven't we? Midfield action going on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the back end of the top 10. This would have been the top quarter for the first half of the season. Unfortunately, we've dropped a little bit in participation as we've gone on. But, yeah, we've seen brilliant racing all throughout the field. But we were truly spoiled for the first 4 races, weren't we? We had the top 10 just nose to tail for the entire race. And the last 2 races, we've taken the enjoyment out of this midfield action, and it's been frenetic. I mean, these guys... maybe 10th, 11th, 12th. They're 10th, 11th, 12th in tier 1 of 9, right? Mm-hmm. They are right at the top of the pinnacle, and most of us could only dream of even being in this split. So, yeah, we'll see who can come out on top. Top 10 to finish off the season would be nice for any of them. Samir Fosh looking the most threatening at the moment at the back of it. You can actually see where Samir pitted. I don't know if he was earlier than these guys. I know Hardier was a lot earlier at the front of this, and quite impressively has actually pulled away. He had a bit of a train behind him earlier on. As Samir takes a late move on Mark Vart. That was never going to work. The door was always closing. And unfortunately, that will be on young Samir's shoulders, I feel. Although, should he be afforded space? Yeah. Don't know. Doesn't matter for Mark Vart now. He's 5 seconds back down the road.
Let's watch it again then from the helicam. There's a big open door there. Not enough of the car in front, Jay. Clipped the rear end. Didn't even clip wheel to wheel. Front wheel to rear wheel, that is. Just wasn't enough in it. But the door was wide open from Lucas Mark Vart. But it was, a big push to pass there. So, yeah, I don't think that that will go penalised, to be quite honest. That was a blaring mistake there from Samir Fosh. But hey ho, should he have been given a bit more space? Who knows? This is
the age-old argument in sim racing, right? And it's one that Formula One have not helped. Well, they've stoked the fire massively with an air from a god recently, just from saying that the driver in front, unless you're all the way alongside, like literally front wheel to front wheel, then they can just close the door, which is incredibly dangerous precedent set. But I mean, yeah, he wasn't quite alongside, but there is this mentality that if you've got any of the car alongside, you should be afforded space. It's not really the case. No. Needs to be considerable, but then what's a considerable amount of the car? And some cars are not built equal. Bentley versus Ferrari, shall we say. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, but yeah, I think he definitely should have backed out of that, unfortunately. I think it all depends on who you're racing as well, you know? I think if there's some people that would afford space for someone who's got a wheel up the inside of your rear quarter, might be worth doing, but I think there was more the closing of the door that didn't necessarily need to happen. Because if you think about it this way, he had the outside run, and it's a long, wide corner, that, turn 11. He could have easily just taken an outside, it's slightly different, somewhat slower at least, exit of that corner, and would have got a really good run down into Mineshaft. I think he would have been ahead anyway.
So, yeah, a little bit silly, I think, really, to cause that issue. One, by putting the wheel up there, but I think a little bit silly for not seeing it coming. You know, your wing mirror must have been full of car. He unless he's got massive blinkers on, he knew that was coming a mile off. But never mind.
Yeah, it's one of those, but it's so easy to sit here.
Oh yeah, I mean, Jay,
and say that when you're in the car. Go on.
You won't believe it, but George Boothby and Harry Phillips have actually caught up to the back of Darren King. With 9 minutes to go, we could be at a position where George Boothby could technically get past Phillips and then have a crack at King. They're not that far apart from each other. There's 0.6 between Boothby and Phillips. Will their tyres be knackered? Of course. But Phillips is only less than 2 seconds behind Darren King at this stage. Let's just say in a perfect world that he doesn't get penalised for what happened. They both managed to get closer. And he gets past him. The championship is still on with 9 to go.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what we said he needs to do. Hold on to the back of Phillips, who has got the much fresher tyres of these three. And he's done that very well. And they're both closing up. So he's got the pace on Darren King. He needs to try and find an opportunity in Phillips trying to get past King to get the pair of them. And then, yeah, you're right. It's on then. It'll be a case of having to close down that gap to barrier. The gap between King and barrier is 5.6, so he'll have some work to do if he can find his way past. It's a tall order, but it's not out of the question, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, considering what we've seen so far in this race, it's been bloody hard to get past. And if you have got past, you've only got half a wheel up the inside. So it might be, like you say, a bit of a tall order. But, yeah, I mean, championship's on the line. You've got to give it a go, even if you do get the penalty. Hopefully that driver sees that you're up the inside, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'd make the prediction he's either going to make more contact somewhere or he'll do it.
Yeah.
As what we've seen from Boothby, he will do it.
Yeah.
Well, look, in terms of throwing it up the inside, I mean, not necessarily getting it done, but we'll see.
Look at the times. Let's just look at clear math, right? So 1:40.5 is George Boothby's last lap. Harry Phillips was a 1:40.7, so he's 2/10 faster technically than Harry Phillips, even though he is being held up somewhat. Darren King was a 1:40.9, so he's 4/10 faster than Darren King. With 7 minutes to go, there is enough time in it for him to catch Darren King. Whether Darren King's holding on to tyres a little bit, who knows? Let's see. It's going to be slower.
He needs more than Darren King, though. That's the problem.
I know it's the 5 point whatever to Valentin Barry. I see. I know.
It's on, absolutely. I'm still keeping an eye on that split time between Dar and Van der Velde. I feel if he's going to do it, it'll be on the last lap to keep it
100%. We know that the gap now is over 10 seconds, so, I mean, look, right, I will ask it. Admins, Heiko, Voodoo, if anyone's in here, is there anything in the rules that say you cannot let your teammate pass?
No, of course there's. We don't even need to ask that. No.
Why? Well, it's
on your own volition.
Is it, though?
Yeah.
Well, look, no, not necessarily. It's a team order, isn't it? Our team order's
This
allowed.
isn't early 2000s Formula One.
Well, I don't know.
It's overreacting to Ferrari. No, it'd be fine.
Would it be fine, though? Morally?
Morally, they'd be bankrupt, but, you know, it's...
There is no such thing written in the rules. There we go. There's no such thing written in the rules. We've heard from the boss. There's nothing written in the rules.
They want to do that.
Well, at least we've got clarity now. We know that it technically is allowed. So there wouldn't be any, you know, subsequent penalties coming the way of the 66 and the 14 car if that was to happen. I don't know if it will though, Jay. 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a big statement of, look, mate, you've not been quicker, but you know, I know you've got more on the table than I have. I don't know. I think Dave will get panned if he does it though. This is what I think. If Darren McCormack waits 10 seconds. What is the backlash of that, like, in the sim world? Like, what's the backlash for him for not letting his teammate pass?
Fine, they've got Gotifi. They'll be bulletproof.
I don't know.
I know, but like I look at it from the point of what's the point in having teams, right?
Oh yeah,
that's exactly what it's for. But you know, whether they want to for this championship, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, King is well, we can see visibly, yeah, he's still slower because Phillips is now nicely into that slipstream, and this will be the opportunity for George Boothby.
He's got to do it.
and expect fireworks in the next couple of laps because he's got to try something.
Yeah.
Because that gap to barrier is now 6.4. So he's going to need a couple of laps if he's even got the pace to do it, but he's got to get past these two first.
I think he's definitely got the pace to do it. Let's have a look at barrier. Let's have a look at...
Or, no, that wouldn't work either. Don't worry. Forget what I was about to say. I was going to say, or he could, if these guys caught barrier, but that would only get him a position if they get within 5.
Valentine Barrier's last was a 141.047. George Boothby's last was a 141.035, and he's being held up at the moment. So he's mid 140s if he can get past, or at least high 140s if he can get past. Is that enough time now with 4 to go? I'm not sure. He's got to make this move. He's got to get past Harry Phillips. He's got to get past Harry.
It's all academic if he can't get past.
Oh, gee. Cole Felix, did you miss anything? I don't know how far back it was, but there was contact between Harry Phillips that lost him a lot of time. Oh, he looks to the inside of what we just saw earlier on, going into turn 11, but he doesn't do it. Sorry, it's turn 10. But Phillips goes wide, and the exit of 11. Jay's getting close. It's getting hot and heavy. He's going to go into Crocodiles. Turn 13. He's got to do it. He's got to do it.
Will he be shown the inside by Harry Phillips? He will, so he's going to have to... Oh, it opens back out for him, though. He sticks it down the inside. There's contact as Harry Phillips tries to cut back underneath him, but he is up into 6th place then.
All fair and good.
Now he can get marching after the two Astons.
Fantastic inspired driving by George Boothby. Waited for that little chink in the armour, but he's lost time to Darren King. It's how much time he's lost and how much time he can make up. 3.5 minutes to go. I mean, yes.
He'll have 2 more then. Actually, it depends where Dara is. We might have 3.
Oh, it
Because
depends
how far Dara's ahead. But, yeah, that's 1 done. Yeah, a little bit misjudged from Harry Phillips trying to cut back underneath him. Ran into the back of him, so easily done. No harm done, really. And now we'll see how quickly George Boothby can get up. Crucially, he did lose time in that move, George, but
yeah,
it's given him a better chance than he had. The gap has come down by just over a second at the front.
Oh, Jay, don't.
I think. Well, you stay with that battle. I'm just going to see what it's like on board with Dara.
This is where he's battling with his conscience, I guess. Leon Byrne gets a 5-second time penalty.
39.6. We'll see what it is this time round.
39.6 at this stage in the race.
He's absolutely flying.
Oh no, that was the best lap was a 39.6, Jay. The last lap was a 141.1. So he's slowing down.
Yeah, wrong way round.
It's all right.
Yeah, so he's definitely backed up. Is he cruising to a victory? Or is he doing what we think he might be doing? 41.9 that time around. That's slower again. Van der Velde 40.8. It's another second. He could just be taking it easy though.
I've got no words at this stage. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Boothby, though, is driving like a man possessed at this stage in the race. He's found 0.4 of a second in that lap on the back of Darren King. But you've got to remember, this isn't anyone you've got to pass. This is Darren King. You know, he's not going to be an easy customer to get past. He's not going to give it up anywhere. And you saw how long it took him just to stay in the slipstream. Last time around, they were close. I just think George Boothby's left it too late in the day now to make a move. Darren King.
I can't see it happening because of the gap to barrier. How squirrely do you want me to be?
Mate, it's come down again. 8.9 is the gap between.
Williams Esports are streaming, and it is Dara streaming.
Oh, yes, you squirrel away, mate. Squirrel away. Yep, squirrel away. All good. So we'll find out what happens. Oh, they must be telling him. They must be asking him, are you going to stop? Are you going to let him pass?
There's absolutely no expression on his face.
Oh, no. He's got a headset on, I'm assuming. Oh, dear. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see. What's Jat saying?
Flat out coming towards the end.
So, when are you doing it?
No, nothing on chat at the moment.
Well,
Boothby is going mega fast. He's giving it everything as he's got to.
John McCormack's going to start the last lap here, Jay. John McCormack, this doesn't look like a man who's going to hold fire and wait for his teammate to cross the line for the championship. I'd hate to say it, but I don't think he's going to do it here, Jay. I don't think it's going to happen. Boothby's going hell for leather, though, to try and get to the back of Darren King. It will be fun to watch the onboard here. Oh, my God. Comes across the exit of Cheetah, takes enough grass to feed a family of 5 for an afternoon. George Boothby is tearing this car a new one. They're scything down the back straight and weaving to break toe. Darren King knows that Boothby wants pass for this championship. The maths involved in this, what can happen at the end, I really don't want to know. But crucially though, is Dave slowing down? I don't think he is, Jay. Will it happen on the final corner?
I'm laughing about something, but I couldn't hear any of it, so I've just sort of given up of trying.
Oh, no.
Broadcasting over it. They're having a little giggle. The gap is coming way, way down.
Oh, he's
down
going way down, Jay. What is going on?
They're not, are they?
They
Surely.
must be doing it, Jay.
Why else would you be teammates? Why else?
George Boothby, though, he's sweating buckets behind Darren King. I don't know where to watch, Jay, because it could come down to a last-minute move between these boys. But let's see what's happening between the current championship contenders.
I would say we need to be focused on that one, considering Boothby would need an extra 2.5 seconds on
He's slowing down,
barrier.
Jay. He's got to be slowing down. He's going so slow.
Here it is. We knew they would. The Williams Esports team. There's the choreography.
Oh my
handing the
goodness
victory
gracious.
to Tinko van der Velde. And if my maths is correct, which I'm pretty sure it is, there's no reason they wouldn't have otherwise. Talk them across the line, because I think we've got a new first-time AOR
I think we have. I think we have. We didn't think it would happen, but it did. Crucially, coming down towards Mineshaft, Tinko van der Velde takes the top spot, and I think he's taken the championship if the maths works out. What's George Boothby doing? Not enough, Jay. Crucially, not enough as he comes through Cheetah. Darren King is ahead. Luke Whitehead's come across the line with pretty much his pants on his face, because he's not going to be able to do anything else about this championship at this stage. Please, please help us, maths, because I think Tinko van der Velde has taken the championship through absolute scenes here. Kyalami. Well, there we go. Crazy stuff. They all come across the line.
That puts Tinko van der Velde on 477 points. Luke Whitehead, I've double-checked, triple-checked all the way through the race because he's been in third the whole way through. Puts him on 470, so 7 behind. George Boothby ends up on 458, I believe. Maybe a couple more because he got past Phillips, but it's not going to be enough. It is Tinko van der Velde that is a first-time champion.
Oh,
You can
chat,
say
I'm
all
happy
you
though,
like,
Jay.
but that is why you're teammates.
That is the whole point of having a teammate, and we thought it might happen, and it is. But this is that you got to remember, right? This is the first time Tinko has won a championship, and he can only put it down to the fact that his teammate.
Well pointed out.
has
He
helped
got
him.
5 seconds as well.
Oh, he
did
did.
get that 5 seconds.
Absolute
so, yeah,
carnage.
drops it back down.
Well, I'm glad that didn't decide the championship. That would have been even worse. But there you go. I think Tinko van der Velde is a deserving champion of Season 11. As far as I'm aware, he's not had a championship with AOR, at least in Tier 1. So a welcome champion. Got so close in Season 9. But I think George Boothby, I want to think, beat him to it. So, you know, that is definitely recompense for a year ago. So, yeah, hats off, I think, and fantastic teamwork from Darren McCormack to give him that championship. I'm not disappointed about that. That made that race hilarious and fantastic to watch. Hope everyone else watched what was going on there. Well, let's see. Let's have a little chat to those top 3. I'm speechless.
That makes a change. He's done the impossible. I mean, we knew with the results that we saw in the last time out in Monza that it was going to set it up beautifully, right? It was all going to matter about the balance of performance. I think crucially, whatever you say about the teammates, which again, remind you, they're teammates, they're in Williams Esports. Why would they not if the other doesn't have the chance? But crucially, he was the top Honda today. Of a car that's been incredibly dominant. He did, there's no other words, dominate Luke Whitehead in that car.
Oh, yeah.
Last 2 races, to be honest. So, you know, it's deserving just on that alone. And unfortunately, that Ferrari just couldn't quite do it for George, despite his best efforts. That Ferrari had no right to be anywhere near the top 5 in the last couple of races. But yeah, what a season. What a battle between, let's not forget, the 2 McLarens that were in it right up until the last couple of races of Jura Petchenko and Grantis Caracas as well. And yeah, once again, they've just put on an unbelievable show.
Oh, yeah. It's a great season for Jure Petroshenko, not to take that away from him. That's the first time we've ever seen him inside the top 5, and to come away with a 3rd place and 2 4th places this season with 1 podium and finish as high up as he did. Really well done for Jure. He's come a long way in the past couple of seasons. Granted, Caracas, Tier 2 champion a couple of years ago, now back, well, a year ago, let's be honest, back up into the top spots here today. Absolutely fantastic from him. So yeah, really, really, really good. Let's just see what we're doing with conversations quickly, because I think we definitely want to have a chat with these boys who finished on the top spots if we can.
Oh, champion in waiting is waiting.
The champion in waiting is waiting. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. You want to take it away, mate?
Can do. Tinko, congratulations. What we believe is your first AOR championship. It was done in interesting style, but it's not something we didn't predict. Crucially, before we get to that, firstly, your thoughts on taking the title, and secondly, I think you deserved it today just on beating the other Honda of Luke Whitehead. How was the race for you, first off?
The race was perfect. I think I made no mistakes, really. The pace was really, really good versus Luke. I don't know why, but he seemed to struggle. So yeah, very happy with myself in this race, and yeah, really, really happy with the championship, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant season all the way through. You finished it with 2 victories. You were 2nd place going into the final lap. So we were looking everywhere on all the streams, all the information. To be honest, I had called that it was a possibility before the lights had even gone out. Was it always on the cards, or was it something you discussed going towards the end of the race?
Yeah, Dara said before the race, like, if it really matters for the championship, I will let you through. So I knew I just had to stay in P2 this race and I would win. So yeah, massive shout out to Dara for giving me the win here. I really needed it. But also, it's like a team championship in AOR, so I think it's fair enough. Misha also blocked me on Watkins, which costed me a lot of points. And yeah.
What teammates for, mate? It's what teammates were for. And it's not like it's undeserved. I mean, 2 victories. Started the season incredibly strong with a 2nd and 3rd place as well. Went a little bit off the bubble in the middle. But yeah, you've got to be over the moon with that, surely.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, well done, man. Seriously, epic. I've obviously been part of AOR a little bit longer than Jay, at least from the commentary side of things. And to see you going from, solid top 10 contender to then right up at the top spot. And I think it was season 9. I know we talk about it a lot. Season 9, season 10. I think it was season 9, maybe season 8, where you were very, very close, and it was a close fight. And I think it was only you, probably George Boothby, I think, that could have taken the crown. And I'm just a little bit too far off. And at that point, I was like, Dingo's done an amazing job to be up there. And considering how well this has gone, I don't even care about the team swap over at the end. You deserved it. You've raced amazingly, and you've got to remember you beat Luke Whitehead on pace today and last week. I'll pull him in because you can thank him. You probably already have. Amazing teamwork, and yeah, hats off, mate. Really, really well done. Congratulations. It is your first championship, isn't it, with AOR? At least in Tier 1.
Yeah.
I mean, massive congrats. You beat some really fast drivers this season. George Boothby was on fire. Luke Whitehead came back from a dodgy start and was really hitting it fast. So yeah, well done.
Thank you.
No worries. Dara. I mean, fantastic pace, man. And then obviously doing the ultimate sacrifice there for the team was, I mean, hats off. Well done. And yeah, playing the team game today.
Cheers, yeah. I mean, Tinko utterly deserved it. I think any teammate that respects the team and respects his teammate will do that. So yeah, I thought that was the best decision. So yeah, I mean, Tinko completely deserved it. He absolutely smashed this season. He got unlucky in some rounds. So yeah, I had no problem slowing down for him. He utterly deserves it once again. So yeah, the race went really well today for me. So yeah, I'm over the moon. Obviously, I would have won if I kept going. So I'm happy that my pace was pretty much on pace with what the Porsche should do. So yeah, I'm happy overall. Everything's good.
I'm not sure how that's going to do for the team points. I don't think it was on the cards to win in the team standings, but
unfortunately not.
I mean, yeah, as I said, you guys have both been really quick. I think you've had a hard season for the Porsche just generally. I think if we had a slightly different season mock-up, probably would have been a different result. or at least the options for a different result. But yeah, I know chat a little bit. Some people in chat a little bit disappointed with that, but I think it brought a fantastic end to the season. And some of those people haven't watched, obviously, you guys race for many seasons like me and Jay have. We know that these things take multiple seasons for sometimes, the luck to come. And also the help. So yeah, doesn't take anything away from Tinko's deserving win and championship. So well done, buddy. Season 11 champion. You get that. You can rock the number 1 next season. I'm sure you'll be back. We'll get in Luke for a little chat if you want to run away or join him. I'll pull him up anyway. But yeah, well done both of you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Congrats. Hope to see you back next season.
Cheers, Jamie.
For sure.
See you soon, boys. No worries. Luke. Oh, so close, but so far, so close. I mean, massively deserving to Tinko. I'll let you say congratulations, but the pace just wasn't there today.
Yeah, first off, congrats Tinko. He drove a phenomenal season the whole time, and the last 2 rounds didn't really have an answer. I was pretty shocking. So, fair play to Tinko, drove really good. But yeah, as you say, very close. But there's nothing you can really do. I think if the situation was reversed, I think it would have been the same outcome. So. I think if I was P2 and a teammate was P1, there's nothing against in the rules. As sour as it is at times, I think it's fair game. So GG. Tinko drove a really good season. I feel gutted for George. I think he drove a very good season at the start, and then the last couple of tracks didn't really favour the car, so he struggled quite heavily, which is a shame. But he drove, as I said, George is insane always. He's really fast, so he's always going to be there, or thereabouts. So yeah. It is what it is. To be honest, after round 1, I'm happy that I was even in contention. I mean, rounds 1 and 2 were pretty awful by my standards. So, to have a good, strong middle of the season to put me even up there is good. So, I can't grumble.
Look, we remember sitting here, 6 months ago to crown you champion, and you were a little disappointed and downhearted, which I couldn't believe because you just won a championship. You're like, I wanted a bit more of a challenge. Well, you got it now. Yeah. You got something to fight for next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably the toughest grid, or one of the toughest grids AOR's had. So it was nice to be competing for wins and for fighting for battles. But yeah, I mean, I just wasn't good enough this season. I had my up points. I had Paul Ricard, I had Zolder. Obviously Monza was okay, and this round was okay, but I had too many low points. Spa was not good enough at all. Should have really been there, and just nothing went my way. Watkins wasn't really quick enough, just was too far back. Indy was Indy. I couldn't really have done much more with what I had. But again, it's a low point. As much as I can say that, I maxed that car or maybe got as close to the max as I could in that race, it was a low point. And all of these low points contribute to what should have been a stronger season. Obviously, I had the same last season. I had wins and I had bad results. And this time it's come back to bite me. So, nothing really to say. Just need to reevaluate my performances and come back, as I said last season, come back even stronger next season.
Yeah, I mean, 7 points in it, mate. I wouldn't be too disheartened. I mean, if Spa didn't go the way it went, we could be having a different conversation. But hey ho,
there's nothing you can do now. I mean, I'd rather have lost to it by about 50 points. I think I'd rather not being in contention to lose on the last lap. But yeah, it happens. I think it's all part of racing. So
the best thing I think we can take away from this, you lost to someone really deserving of the championship this season. Like, really deserving. Tinko, I'm over the moon. I told you I was Team Tinko at the beginning of this little hunt towards the end. I know, Luke, you always have a soft spot, but yeah, really well done. I'm over the moon for everyone who got into that final little battle at the end. George Boothby, he had a few comings together behind you boys, but he almost caused an absolute scene with you guys at the end. He could have possibly thrown a real curveball, but yeah, it just wasn't to be. But guys, season 11's been fantastic. Thank you for everyone for taking part. Thanks for putting up with us joking about all of the stuff going on. Dara, I'm sorry for calling you Dave for most of the season. It won't happen again. I can't promise that, but brilliant. Thanks for being such good sports.
It's kind of on me.
Such good sports for putting up with us, and thank you so much for giving us and all the guys watching such a fantastic season. Thanks again.
Cheers, Rage.
No worries. Tinko, congrats, mate. Enjoy it. Beers on you, mate.
Thank you. And thanks for all the viewers and everyone involved in the season. It was amazing.
Where can we find you guys whilst we're here? Tinko, where can we find you? Shout out your Twitters and bits and pieces.
Just Twitter, Tinko VDV. And yeah, that's it.
No worries. Well-deserving champion. We'll see you soon, boys. Join us again for season 12.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye bye, guys.
Roll it on.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
No worries. See you
Thank you,
soon.
Luke.
There we go. Oh, that was, yeah. I mean, I don't have any more words, Jay. Wrap it up for us. Good season all round.
It's been a roller coaster. I think I hit the nail on the head at the end there, right? Luke was disappointed to take a championship that didn't have potentially all the top names. We had all the top names this time. There's a few still missing. If we could maybe add them next season. Looking at you, Trevor Wenham returning and Malinowski, who threatened to make an entrance, but
What's that Zenko dropping off halfway?
Well, on that, yeah, he was right up there at the beginning, wasn't he? And those Hondas incredibly dominant throughout, and I think that's just all credit to the two McLarens that pushed it all the way, Caracas and Petruchenko, and the Ferraris of Hardier and Boothby that really did things that those cars didn't necessarily deserve to do against what was a very dominant Honda grid. So you've just got to tip your hats off to a lot of them. The first 4 or 5 races were some of the best races in not even sim racing, just full stop motor races I think I've ever seen. And it's been a roller coaster of a ride. And yeah, thank you for everybody that's joined us along the way. Let's do it all again next year.
Yeah, it will be literally next year now. No idea when. Normally comes around the end of February, Marchy time. No guarantees, but season 12 is definitely on the horizon. So guys, join us next year. If you want to join some more action, you can find us tomorrow for tier 2. I think that's pretty much a foregone conclusion in that championship now, if not actually decided.
It's decided. Yeah,
is it? Yeah.
Second place is still up for grabs.
Yeah, Jamie Nuttall takes the championship there. I think he got that last time out. And then obviously Mikowski, Rode, Watson possibly could run away with. Well, I think it's just Rode and Watson for second place. But hey, it will be an interesting final race. Anyway, you can join us at the same time in the same place tomorrow if you want to watch Tier 2. And I'm pretty sure it will be John Watts and Luke, maybe. I'm not too sure who is the second man. But guys, thank you everyone who stayed with us throughout the whole season. You made it fantastic for us to commentate and shout about and joke about and all of that. So hats off to you guys too. I hope the racing was fun to watch. And we'll see you next year for Season 12. Bring it on.
In a bit, guys.